Hello everyone and welcome to the next episode of Solar Sidekicks. My name is Pat Southwell and I am your co-host and I'm joined by my other co-host, Lauren Seconti. Welcome, Lauren.
Hello everyone. I'm recording I should say, from sunny Melbourne today.
Well, that's right, and I am in Brisbane at the Solar and Storage Live Expo. Been up here for the last couple of days and doing a bit of recording. I'm missing you, Lauren. I wish you were here with me.
I know, it sounds like it's been an amazing couple of days, but I've had a busy couple of days down here, so I'm sorry, guys.
No, all good. No worries. All right, well, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional landowners, and that's the Turrbal people. And I pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. There we go. How's that?
Is that serious?
Yep. That's right, the Turrbal people.
Okay.
There we go. So I wasn't going to give you that one to do, Lauren.
Oh my gosh, there's no way I would have done that.
Oh, good stuff. All right, well, let's get into our guest that we have here. So I've got my guest sitting opposite me. Like we like to do our interviews face-to-face, and Lauren's remote. So today we have Yorick Mark from MC Electrical. Welcome, Yorick.
Thanks, Bad. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. Good stuff. You're from Brisbane?
Well, actually, originally I grew up overseas, but I've been in Brisbane now for about 12 years. Oh, maybe actually more like 16 years.
16 years.
Time flies by, yeah.
There you go.
Whereabouts are you from originally?
I grew up in Switzerland when I was young, and then we lived in the Netherlands for about 6 years as well, before moving here with my parents. Both my parents are Aussies, so mum's from Broken Hill, dad's from Newcastle, and they finally came back home.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, I didn't sense a Dutch accent or anything like that, or no.
Sometimes people think I'm South African. But,
yeah, I kind of get that a little bit, maybe. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I've got like a crazy picture in my head now because I've got no idea what you look like.
Oh, very good. Very good. Oh, in the background we have Luke Beattie taking photos. Hey, Luke. All right. All right. All right. Well, okay. Well, thanks for coming on, Yorick. We're going to have a little bit of a chat about your journey, a few things that are happening that you do at MC Electrical, and I wouldn't mind talking about a couple of products, maybe. Or I know you're a real sort of, well, to me, you seem like a real tech guy. You're like that real nerdy kind of, your products really well. And
I do.
Yeah.
For me, really understanding what we're selling and also be able to advise on essentially what's new out there is a big part of what I like to do at MC Electrical. Obviously, I'm in a consultant role and a sales role, so that is a lot of what my job is. But as you probably know, Mark and I do a few videos. I try and focus predominantly on batteries, EV charging, because that's where my passions are for sure. And sort of seeing that where the industry's moving to now.
Yeah, right. You sick of talking about solar now? We've evolved a little bit.
Oh, look, I've been talking about solar-only systems for, at MC Electrical, almost 10 years.
Yeah, right.
Before that, I used to do lead gen with some other companies before sort of moving out of that sphere. I've been in the solar industry now for probably in the range of 14 years all up.
Yeah, 14 years. Yeah, okay, that's a while. Well, let's go through.
Well, that's a long time.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? You always say that, Lauren. You always say
that. That is crazy. I just do the maths in my head. I'm like, wow, what was I doing 14 years ago?
I knew you'd be doing that.
I was 10.
Look, I never expected to be doing what I'm doing today. I always wanted to become a pilot.
Oh, really?
Fly commercial, but I think fate had different things in store for me.
Very cool.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, how'd you get the job with MC? Like, how'd that all happen?
So that's an interesting story. So before I worked at MC Electrical, I worked with a company called Electroid.
Yep.
And so I was doing lead gen with them for a while and was basically pursuing a electrical career as an electrician. I was trying to get an apprenticeship, which is hard to do when you're, mature age.
Yep.
And I was given the opportunity, eventually I was doing some work on the tools as a trade assistant. I got the opportunity to fill in for our service manager who was going on service leave.
Nice.
Yeah.
Big shoes to fill.
Yeah, it was
Just a service manager, nothing
nothing too much. No, it was
nothing too crazy. It's like the most hardest part of solar is the servicing, but all good, just straight into it.
I know a lot more now than I did before, but yeah. So Ryan, who's basically our operations manager at MC Electrical, was my service tech at the time, and unfortunately, when Electroy went under, basically I got a call from Ryan out of the blue one day saying, "Hey, would you be interested in taking on that role again at MC Electrical?" And I was on the tools at the time, and I thought, well, do I stop this path and move into a full-time job? And I took that risk, and I think that was the best decision I've ever made.
So good. I love hearing that.
Do you miss being out there? Do you miss, like, I mean, I'm sure you go to sites still sometimes.
I do. I catch up with the guys on site occasionally. Look, what I do is obviously not hands-on, and that's sort of where I thought things were going to move for me.
Yeah.
But obviously, I've got a big focus on tech and sort of staying up to date with the products. So I don't regret it. I think, while I would have liked to have pursued that career, and I think I probably would have been quite good at it, I also think what I do now is also very impactful.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I've been watching a few of your videos to sort of do a bit of research, and seems like Mark puts a lot of faith and trust in you. Like he does. No, he does. So you're doing a lot of these research on products and checking if they're going to be right for a good fit for his business. It's pretty impressive, really.
It is a bit of a consultancy role. I mean, we basically throw ideas backwards and forwards as to where we think things should move. I mean, look, I've worked with Mark now for just under 10 years, and obviously you do build a relationship over that time. And it is nice that Mark takes my feedback on board and takes it really seriously. And obviously there is a personal commitment to MC Electrical as well that comes with that. It is really a case where we just recently had been to Shanghai, Shenzhen. We've got to speak about Sigenergy, Huawei, BYD.
Oh, awesome.
So that was a sort of a very eye-opening.
Was that your first factory tour? Was that the first time?
That was my first proper factory tour.
Good? You enjoyed it?
Oh,
that's
100%.
really cool.
Yeah.
How was their factory?
Sigenergy's factory, look, it did impress me, but obviously I have nothing to compare it against. And so, look, put it this way, this is where Mark and I were having a chat during the tour, and he thought it was much more in line with something he would have seen at Fronius, for example, than some of the other tours that he's done. We obviously just published our video talking about the Sigenergy Siginstall system. I mean, while we have ultimately decided not to continue to sell that product, it is a really exciting product, and we want it to succeed. I think we're just going to be playing it a little bit safe for the next few years and just to see how things pan out. Because obviously we've been burnt before with brands like Solar Edge and Tygo. So it's taking the cautious approach. But it's not to say that I don't like what they're doing and they don't have something that I think could be very successful.
Yeah.
It is quite hard to bring, I'm not going to lie, it is quite hard to bring new products in when it's not broken and it's working so well. As much as there's so many new technologies coming out, if you've got something that just works and customers are happy with it, installers are happy with it, because there's also that training that you got to do as well for your installers. It's a whole new product. It's not just you investing it in the office. It's the people out on the ground installing it too.
Well, I think from our perspective, it's really more the long-term warranty concerns that we might have, because obviously we as a company are responsible for that product, especially if something was to happen to the company. Because that was, I mean, your consumer protection under Australian consumer law are very strong, and we take that incredibly seriously. And that's, I guess, where we're really making that debate. And it took us 4 months going backwards and forwards. Do we sell them? Do we not sell them? And then I think we finally just made that decision that at this stage we're just going to want to see where they go. But you're right, in terms of training, and look, there's a lot of very positive reviews out there. There's a lot of hype out there. But sometimes it might be a matter of just taking a step back, sort of seeing through that hype and going, okay, let's be pragmatic about it and go, well, is this a risk that's worth taking on? And look, if you're an early adopter, great. If you want the latest tech, great. I mean, I love that stuff. But then you have to really, when you're the one holding the warranties, then that's another perspective you have to factor in as well. Yeah,
that's right. And I agree with that. And it seemed to me that decision sort of suits, like it didn't surprise me too much, because it sort of suits Mark's business model. And he is quite conservative with those things, but he's very calculated, and he'll look at the things that are important to him.
Yeah, and that's at the end of the day, it is his decision at the end of the day. And look, I agree with him on that decision at the end.
Yep.
And it's not to say that I initially agreed with him.
Yep.
But when you see it from his perspective and look at what the risks would be on board, I don't think I could personally take that risk if I was buying it as a customer.
Yeah.
You're spending that level of money without having a level of certainty that brand's going to be around. But again, there are early adopters who I think that works really well for, and there's a lot of companies who are happy to supply products for early adopters, but those early adopters take on that risk, whereas I think we really focus more on somebody who wants a tried and proven product.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Exactly right. That seems to be where Mark's business fits into the industry.
Yeah.
That seems to be a good fit for him.
Yeah. For us, it's really just about reliability and the product doing what it says on the packaging.
Amen. That is very true.
Yeah. Oh,
I feel that's so hard in the builder market.
Yeah.
Especially because we install such volume. I mean, everything has got to be perfect, and you've got to be 100% sold on that product before you do anything.
Well, especially if you're taking service seriously, and your warranty obligation seriously, and I think that is something that sometimes is a little bit lacking in the industry. I mean, you just see some fairly big companies folding, and then what happens to those products? What happens to the customers? We're seeing it not just from the company standpoint, but also, morally, we have a responsibility to make sure that, and also legally have a responsibility to the customers to make sure they're looked after in long term. And it's not, one or two is not an issue. It's really more a case if you have hundreds of these products out there, and then suddenly we see a failure rate of 1 in 10 or more. And I'm not to say that this is what we expect. It's just more the case that we've seen this with other products as well. Yeah. And sometimes having a little bit of that, taking that step back, he lets that play out, and then you can make a more informed decision.
Yeah, right. What do you reckon? Let's go 5 years down the track, all right?
Yeah.
And let's say it goes the way a lot of people think, and they fix, they end up being a good company.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? Do you reckon you'd reconsider bringing, do you think Mark would reconsider bringing them on?
I think he would.
Yeah.
And I would as well. If you got to 5 years' time, or even, for me, I'm a little bit less conservative than Mark. I would even say 3 years. Mark would definitely be saying 7, so we'll meet in the middle and say 5. Yep. But at that point, if you were seeing it being a very stable product, very few failures, maybe they improved a couple of just the exterior cladding things. That's where we have some concern, with warranties as well. I think it would be a mistake not to reconsider it. But it's also then an argument would be, well, maybe at that point, Sigenergy drags the rest of the industry forward, and you can go, well, they were the first, but now everyone else has similar products as well.
Yeah, sure.
A little bit like how Fronius 10 years ago pulled the industry forward with their 10-year warranty and Wi-Fi connectivity as standard, and we jumped on that, but Fronius also was a very well-known brand at the time.
Yeah, they've always had a good reputation. Yeah, absolutely. Interesting. That's really. You guys have really thought about this, haven't you? It's been you've gone through. Do you do this with all your products? Anytime you introduce a new product into your offering, or you consider it, do you go through this type of rigor?
I mean, the thing is that, when we say that we're selecting a product, I mean, we don't really chop and change on inverters so much. And panels is something where we have made decisions in the past. So obviously previously we sold Jinkos, RECs, Trina, and now QCell and then Canadian. And the thing is, whenever we've made that change in these products, we sort of go, well, there had to be a good reasons to make that change. Either it was a leap in the technology, or they were bringing something forward that was cutting edge. Now, fair to say, Sigenergy is doing that. Yeah. But it's a difference when a company's been around for 1 year and the company's been around for, say, 10. So again, that's why we were seriously considering it. Yeah.
Really cool. I love it. I love how you guys do that. That's cool. Really cool. All right, I think we're going to go to our first break. Got a few other things I want to talk to you about. Sure. So I'm interested to hear more about what products you like and what you think's cool and what's been, just what else do you think is going to be happening with the products in the next period of time, whether it's 2, 5 years, whatever. What you can see coming. I'm interested. I'm going to ask you about that.
Sure.
Good stuff. All right, we'll go to our first break, and we will be right back in just a few moments.
Hey solar installers, struggling to keep up with CPD requirements? At Southwell Solar Training, we're here to make it simple. Our online courses are designed to give you the knowledge you need without the sales pitch. With an affordable subscription, you'll unlock access to our growing library of technical courses, covering everything from inspecting older systems to spotting installation defects. Learn at your own pace, earn CPD points, and stay ahead in the industry. Join us today and start learning smarter, not harder. Visit www.southwellsolartraining.com.au and get your CPD the easy and affordable way.
And we are back.
Good stuff.
I have to say, I really like the remote podcast. This is cool.
It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, this is really cool. And I also just drove past MC Plaster Supplies. Nothing to do with MC Electrical.
Oh, we're expanding business.
You're expanding into Melbourne, into the
What is
plastering.
going on? I love seeing stuff like that, like right place at the right time. So that was really cool. I'm like, oh, MC Plaster Supplies, cool. But no, we're back to talk about solar, guys, not plaster.
I'm out of my league on plastering, that's for sure.
Oh, that's cool. You know what? Let's just go back a step for a minute. Like normally, Lauren will have a bit of a chat afterwards. With a bit of a wrap up on the episode. But I want to just quickly ask you, so you've been to a breakfast this morning.
Yes, I was at the HIA State of the Nation breakfast. So we sponsor the HIA every year, and it's really good to get a bit of insight what's happening in the industry. Obviously, we work with builders, so we catch up and bring some of our builders. Yep. It was a good morning.
So you can all talk about gas together. Is that what?
Yes, we did just mention that. I was actually quite taken back because Australian Gas Infrastructure Group, AGIG, was one of the major sponsors as well. So there seems like there's a bit of conflicting bills and conflicting stuff happening in Parliament about what people are doing and drilling in. And it was. I learnt something out of it, that's for sure. But just bizarre because obviously there's a ban on new home connections with gas.
Yeah.
So,
is that you don't have that in Queensland, do you?
Not at this stage. Look, I hope they bring it in personally, but I think we'll be waiting a little while here. For sure.
Yeah. Well, I think Lauren. Didn't it get rolled back a little bit? Wasn't there a little bit of backpedaling? There was, I know it got banned, and then something changed a little bit, and it just loosened a little bit the rules. I think you can get it if you really want it or something, or...
Yeah, so I'm not fully all over it, if I'm too honest, because it's not really my wheelhouse. But I know it is available, and there may be some sort of permit and a quite expensive gas line fee that you would have to pay, something along those lines. I don't really like to get too involved with it with the builders because we don't really have to. So, but it's it was an interesting sponsorship.
Absolutely. Well, that's right. What do you read about that, Yorick? What do you think about the whole gas thing? You've been around for a while. What do you reckon?
I don't. Personally, I think it's really just them trying to delay the inevitable.
Yeah.
This gas-led recovery, nuclear, I think it's a mistake. And it's not because I'm in the solar industry. I think it is just a mistake in general. I don't have any problem with cooking with gas for a barbecue and that kind of thing. But, new connections for homes, and you think, well, Eastern Queensland, do we really need it? I mean, we've got lots of solar. We've got.
It doesn't even get that cold here, really.
Exactly. We can use heat pumps. I mean, why are we putting gas? I mean, my neighbours, they put in a gas connection as a retrofit, and I couldn't convince them otherwise because, Pia, I love her. She's a great friend of mine, but she just wanted that big gas, multi-stage burner, and you sort of go, well, I think induction's better. Yeah. I mean, at least having lived with both myself, I got rid of my gas system, both my cooktop and instantaneous gas, and ended up putting a heat pump in, induction. So now I'm a fully electric household.
So you're off gas now, are you?
You're entirely off gas.
Love hearing that. Yeah. Love it. Well done.
Yeah. And so we've got, at home, I've got solar, batteries, induction and heat pump and electric car. And so...
you're the poster boy.
What car you got?
Love it.
So look, I actually own a Kia Niro EV. Unfortunately, it's not been the most reliable product. So I've been driving my housemate's Tesla Model 3 for the last almost 2 years while I've been waiting for QCAT to sort out my...
2 years?
It's been almost 2 years, So that's been a learning experience. And I guess this is also why I'm a little bit more cautious with some of these new brands. Is even a well-established brand can take a long time to deal with warranties. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But
sounds like a touchy topic. I don't think I want to prod too much on that one.
Not at this stage. Look, I'm going to
let's not dig into that one.
Let that one go.
Let them rule in my favour first, and then I'm happy to go and come on again.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, everyone is trying. Well, a lot of people I know are trying to electrify, and I think it's still a big education piece out there for the general public. They still don't get it. You kind of, especially if you've got the gas lobby still pushing to be in certain areas and. Still keep. I don't know how they get it extracted, drilling it, all that. That's all still happening, and
Oh, it's big business. I mean, the thing is, they're massive corporations with a lot of money to throw around, especially lobbying. And I guess that's not really something we so much have in the solar industry because it's a lot of relatively small players, mum and pop shops, running these businesses. We don't have billions of dollars to throw at changing a government. But yeah, I mean, if you're thinking about where I'm expecting a lot of this sort of to move forward, and you're right, it is education. Actually, one of the first things I did when I got myself an electric car was I drove down to the Great Ocean Road.
Oh,
and
really?
It was partly just to say that I could do it.
In Victoria?
Yeah.
Did ya?
It was the first thing. Within 2 weeks of us having got the car, we thought, I'm just going to see if I can make it there.
Yeah.
In the 2 weeks that I had to have my holiday, so my partner and I did a long road trip. I've got this fantastic photo I can send. We can put it up if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be great.
My parents have got a Tesla Model Y, and they went all the way to Uluru in the Model Y, and
great.
so it's a fantastic photo, and it's something that I show to customers who sort of go, oh, I can't, it's too early. You go, well, no, you can do it. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of planning. Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't have to go to a servo anymore and just go fill up. You can just fill up at home.
Interesting you say that. So during some of my repair processes, I had a loaner car. That's when I had range anxiety because I was so used to not going to a petrol station. And I jumped in the car and my fuel lights on. I'm going, oh crap! I have to go to a petrol station on my way to my customer to fill up. Whereas I'm so used to waking up in the morning and my car's basically ready to go. It's a real mentality shift. But
how good's that? Range anxiety from an ice. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's actually a thing. Range anxiety is a thing.
The only car that I ever run out on petrol in twice was my dad's plug-in hybrid Mitsubishi Outlander.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we did a trip up to Winton and that was sort of my first experience with a bit of a sort of EV-ish car. And anyway, we were driving. We thought we had plenty of range because I, obviously had a half tank full of fuel. And suddenly we didn't, and we were. Unfortunately, I had a little jerry can, but that's never happened to me in an electric car. Put it that way.
No. Yeah. That's cool. I love it. I love it. No, that's really cool. All right. Well, what do you reckon? What are some cool products out there at the moment? Like, or solutions? What's some cool solutions that you're sort of seeing that you're maybe considering bringing on, or that you guys are already doing, or some stuff that you've been looking at?
Yeah, your go-to system. I love hearing what other people sell.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're very well known for selling Fronius, and we do Tesla obviously as well. And look, it is true that they don't have the perfect solution for every case. You're never going to have, and that's why Sig was so interesting. Sigenergy was so interesting, and why we considered it in such detail. I mean, Franklin is another product. They're here as well at the Franklin battery. So
yes, I saw them at All Energy.
Yeah, so they're basically like a Powerwall 2 equivalent, AC coupled battery. One of the reasons I like their product is they've got the smart circuits that you can sort of decide, okay, well maybe I back up the whole house if my battery's full, but then if I drop down to 50%, well maybe I don't need the aircon anymore, and maybe I don't need the hot water system on backup, or whatever you decide is less important. And so you can be a little bit more clever with how you divert your power.
Is that all in an app? Do they do it all in an app to
honestly,
manage it?
I think it is through an app, but that's where I'd have to do a little bit more reading on that. So look, I've heard a little bit about them. It is a product that we were debating as well. Just the reality is I can't see how it would fit into our range. It's not a niche use case. It's just that we have other solutions that we're already selling that basically fill those needs. But I do like the fact that they have a vehicle to load inputs or generator inputs. So basically where you'd be able to use your car to sort of top up the battery and top up the house. Because I don't know if you know, but we just recently had a cyclone that knocked power out for about a week in some places.
I might have heard a little bit about that.
So honestly, I think it wasn't as bad as everybody was hoping for, prepping for. But I was hoping for a blackout at my house. I have batteries at home, and so
you're hoping for it to kick in and go, oh look, I've got power, everyone.
Exactly, and I've got underground power, so obviously we were fine. But the thing is that the things that I'm most excited about is batteries that will then integrate with possibly vehicle to grid, vehicle to home. Although there's a lot of talk about that, I'm very much of the mindset that it's not going to be home battery or an EV. It'll be a combination of having a smaller battery that's your stationary storage, and then maybe you'll have your car supplemented. Obviously, there is a matter of whether or not you can charge the car up during the day. You need to be able to charge that car up when there is surplus solar. I mean, I'm hoping that at some stage, a little bit like what they do in Norway, where you get free charging in the middle of the day, and then you can.
Surely that's got to be coming, doesn't it? Well, I think some places already, some retailers do offer that. I think.
I mean, this is where things like Amber are really interesting.
Yeah.
Where they've got, when there's a solar surplus or there's a glut of solar in the day, the prices are so low that they can even go negative. And so if you can dump that power into a car, and then when there's a spike in the evening, pull that power out again, either with your home or it'll be your car. But the thing is, with vehicle to grid and vehicle to home, I think a lot of people forget, is that you need the car plugged in for that to work.
Yeah.
And not everybody's home to have that, or not everybody has the car plugged in all day. So that's a very exciting part of the industry. But what I'm really waiting for is standardizations in the protocols. I know the regulations have sort of just come out. But I think it's going to be a few years before we sort of start seeing this more widely implemented. But that will be, I think, a very exciting path that the industry is going to take. Yeah,
from what I mean, speak to a lot of people about it. I mean, it seems to solve a lot of the solutions. A lot of the issues we're having in the grid at the moment, like surplus solar being fed back in the middle of the day. You plug your car in, if you can plug your car in, it actually helps.
It does.
The DNSPs.
It does help. And I think that this is where I really think there needs to be a bit of a carrot and maybe a little bit of a stick as well to drive this type of adoption. I mean, look, electric cars aren't going to be for everybody, and I understand that. Plug-in hybrids, I think, are a gateway car to a full electric, because I think once you've lived with one, you sort of go, well, why do I want to pay for maintenance on a petrol engine? But I think if it was encouraged to have chargers in high-rise buildings, shopping centres, office places, where, if the wholesale price was negative or very low, maybe basically just giving the electricity away for free, or if the price is negative, give the electricity away for free, and then the company that's put in the charger gets to profit a little bit off it. The other thing I also could see happening eventually is maybe time of use pricing for things like the rapid chargers as well. But obviously that's not in the sphere that we operate in. But,
isn't that already kind of happening in Queensland? Don't you get if you've got an EV? I saw something about it. Someone had the circuit breaker locked out by Energex or something. Did I hear about?
Yeah, so maybe.
Do you know about that?
Yeah, I can go through that a little bit. So basically, here you either have to have a dynamic connection for EV, where Energex can ramp down your charging. It's really to protect the grid. What you don't want is to suddenly find that everybody plugs their cars in, and you trip the local transformer. So, you don't have to charge between 4 and 9 o'clock when there is everyone's getting home. You can wait a little bit later. And so really all they do is using the ripple control, because we have a little bit of an antiquated system in Queensland, which I would like them to fix eventually. But again, it's turning a massive ship. It's, so
that's your backstop, isn't it? The ripple control. Is that your backstop mechanism as well? That's how they do it.
I think so.
Yeah. I think I was talking to a couple of people about it yesterday. I'm pretty sure that's right, because we were having our normal whinge we do about the Victoria backstop. And I think it's still done with ripple control. Up here,
I think it does, and then we also have dynamic connections.
Dynamics, it's another thing,
which is another thing entirely. And so I guess the thing is, I don't think it's a bad thing Energex's job is to protect the grid, or Energy Queensland's job is to protect the grid. So yes, if your circuit breaker opens, or you lock out the charger for a few hours when there's a it's a heat wave, everyone's running the air cons, you're protecting the grid. That makes a lot of sense. But I guess in the sense that time of use pricing. One of the things I do at home, and this is what I explain to a lot of my customers who are thinking about batteries. I'm on an EV plan that gives me free electricity between 11 and 2. And then I pay 8 cents for midnight to 6 in the morning. Now,
it's just,
everything in my house is free between 11 and 2, including charging my batteries up on a rainy day like today, which means that no matter what the weather conditions are, I've always got a fully charged battery that's going to get me through to midnight. And I can run my aircon, oven. I've got enough storage to do that. And I've paid a lot of money to get to that point, even with my generous work discount. But thank you, Mark. But
what size battery do you have, just to chime in? Sorry.
So, I've got 2 Tesla Powerwall 2, so
oh my goodness.
27 kilowatt hours of storage, which is overkill. The only reason I went that big is because I wanted to charge my car off. Again, I use my house as a little bit of not a test ground for MC Electrical, but it's a test ground for me. I'm passionate about this. It's something that I get very excited about, and I'm happy to justify it partly as a work expense. I mean, I don't claim it as a work expense, but I can justify it with what I do for work. But I can also justify it as it's something that I enjoy. And
I was going to say, it's also, I can tell it's a hobby for you. You're loving it.
It is, yeah. So, and look, you can get very clever with these systems.
Yep.
I mean, for the amount of power that I use, I pay very little on my electricity. And look, this is the way I think things are going to go. Is basically you'll be shifting power around. We're moving away from that early adopter stage where things are very expensive. It's not to say batteries are cheap. And I wouldn't recommend anybody buy a cheap battery.
Yeah, but power's not cheap either.
No, it isn't.
This is the
and
thing.
It's only going to get more expensive.
I know.
Yeah,
that's right.
So this idea that it's never going to pay for itself, I think, is thinking a little bit too much of what was the prices previously. Eventually, we're going to go on to time of use pricing, where you're going to be paying a premium over dinner time. And okay, maybe you don't need a battery to get you through the full night. That's a lot more storage. But if it could get you through those few hours where the price spikes, you're helping the grid. You're going to save a bit of money.
Yeah.
Maybe you join a VPP. Some people love that. Other people like.
Have you jumped on that? Or
I did for a few months.
Yeah.
I have to admit, because I do this for work, and I'm thinking about it and living this every day, coming home and finding that the aircon's on, my partner's cooking dinner, she's got the oven on, when the wholesale price is like $5 a kilowatt hour. I'm thinking, do you know how much it's costing? I mean, look, no offense on her, she's got other things to think about, but. I love it when she cooks dinner, so it's but I like that. I like consistency, and so that's why I decided to basically go on these fixed rates, because I can plan. I can set things on timers and plan around it more easily.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I think there's got to be more. I think we're going to be more exposed to the wholesale prices as we move forward,
and I think we should be.
Yeah, I agree too. Why should it be the same?
Yeah, I mean,
all the time.
This idea that you've got a flat rate for the full day, and you don't get a true representation of what the power is actually costing.
No.
There's no incentive for anybody to reduce their consumption.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is exactly right.
And, I know South Australia's had time of use pricing. I think Victoria has it as well. And Europe, when I was even young, it was always a case that you wouldn't put on the, washing machine or dryer until after midnight, because that's when the prices dropped.
Yeah.
And it's, in some ways, we pay, for a while we paid very little for electricity in Australia, and in countries where power prices are higher, there's more of an incentive to buy efficient appliances and make efficient homes, which means that you need less power in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think that's something where maybe Australia's just starting to clue on that, maybe getting a heat pump dryer instead of just a vented dryer that's dumping the heat out, and then you have to run the aircon to cool the house down after running the dryer. Maybe it makes more sense to insulate a little bit better.
Yeah. I think we're learning that in Australia now, because we've been really crap at it. You look at all the houses built in the 50s, 60s, 70s and all that, they've, I don't know, this is in Melbourne anyway, hardly any insulation. We need it to keep warm.
Yeah, no. And this is the crazy thing, is that, if your house is not that much better than a tent, I mean, in terms of your insulation rating, I mean, look, we obviously have to take into account cyclones and ventilation and all of that as well. But, and again, I'm not in that building industry, but this is something where solar is not a silver bullet. Batteries are not a silver bullet. It can treat the symptoms up until a point, but the first thing you do is you make your house more efficient, which means that you then need less electricity, and then you also need less storage. So making your house efficient first is by far the best investment.
Yep.
Then the solar to cover anything you can't shift, anything you can shift into the day, and then the batteries are there to basically cover everything you can't shift it into the day. Exactly. It's sort of the icing on the cake. It's the last step. And that's, I think, really where a lot of what I do with my job is sort of a consultancy role.
Yep.
Trying to explain this to people is that, just throwing on a big 15 kilowatt array isn't going to give them a negative bill or zero bill, because those days are gone and they have been for some time.
They are. Although I must say, I still see, I was speaking to a homeowner who had a system the other day, and they're like going, if I go with, I can't remember who it was, they're like, they'll give me a feed-in tariff of 22 cents or something like that. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. 22, yeah, right. They're going to give you, they're going to give you a feed-in tariff for the middle of the day. What are they going to jack your rate up to buy it? And they're like, I don't know.
Yeah, and they don't even think about that.
No,
Everybody goes, oh, what's the feed-in tariff?
Yeah.
And you sort of go, well, if you're a really big power user at night, the feed-in tariff doesn't mean...
It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
that's
you really
right.
want to pay the least overall. So
Exactly.
And I guess that's another factor as well. The other thing too, and when you're talking about these 22-cent feed-in tariffs, and look, Origin is a classic example for these types of schemes. They're only doing that to lock you in.
Exactly. That's all they're doing. They're just trying to lure you in. But this is the thing, because it's such an education piece as well. Because they're not like you or me or Lauren, and we're in the industry and we kind of understand what's happening. They don't know that, like, feeding power back into the grid in the middle of the day is not a good thing anymore. Like, it used to only be smaller systems, and there wasn't as much going in, and we wanted to, renewable energy, we wanted to put as much of it back in as we can.
Yeah.
But if the grid can't handle it, it's no good. But these people are still educated like that.
Yeah.
And that's how these companies are trying to lock them in.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, look, it's not that I don't encourage people to get big solar systems.
Yeah.
I think especially when you start thinking EVs, possible pulls, batteries especially, and I made the classic mistake that, I put on an 8.5 kilowatt array 5 years ago, and at the time that was a big system.
Yeah,
and I
that would
thought,
have been big.
Yeah. It wasn't huge, but it was sort of on the upper end of what we would normally recommend. And then I actually went back and added more capacity. The classic thing that I tell everybody not to do, because as soon as I realised that, okay, once I started charging the car using my excess, then excess solar, I didn't have enough to charge the battery. And so this is where that education comes into as well, is that, what are your future plans? It doesn't, look, throwing panels up on the roof is relatively inexpensive today.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty cheap. You're right.
It's cheap.
Yeah.
Labour's expensive. And so, and batteries are expensive. So really, you want to prep for the future, and then once you're ready to make that next step, you want to have something that's ready to go, set up for it, and you're prepared, and you're not going, oh, I need to swap out an inverter, or maybe I need to reconfigure, how I've got myself wired up, like, do I have to run mains all the way out to a meter box that's on a pole, and I'm not really prepped for it, and that's a real headache in some of the conversations I'm having now.
Agreed. I feel that.
Of course you're feeling that, Lauren. Of course you are.
I feel that in the builder market. It's
Yeah.
pretty shit.
Well, this is the thing as well with new builds, and we try to educate a bit on this as well, but we often, unfortunately, we catch people too late often.
That's your favourite thing, isn't it, Lauren? Getting in, when you get them sent to you guys too late.
Yeah, when I do the connection, they're like, so what system do I have and how can I go bigger? I'm like, sorry, what?
The thing that is always really sad, I think, and I hate having to tell customers this, but, you walk up at a house, it's just been built, and they say the builder ran, pre-wired for solar. And I take one look at it and go, I know for a fact that's non-compliant. And this was a few years ago, I was speaking to a customer who was mid-build, and I could point out how it was non-compliant. And they were like, oh, well, I paid extra to do this. I'm like, well, get onto it now. Get them to rectify it before the house is sheeted and it's too hard. Like, at that point, it becomes very expensive to rectify.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's funny you say that that's happening in Queensland, because I think there's a Queensland mob that's just hit Victoria. I wonder if... the one that we were talking about, Pat?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Look, it's not to say that everybody's doing a bad job by any means. It's just, like the Sparky who's wiring up the house, we want an extra conduit for solar, and he's thinking he's doing the right thing, which, fair enough, but he may not be on top of all the regulations that we're having to abide by to make DC safe, because it's an unprotected circuit. I mean, you know this better than I do. I mean, why am I explaining this to you? But
no, the listeners, some may not know. Yeah.
Yeah, but, again, it's always really sad when you've just met somebody and and you wanted to give them a great, give them a quote and come up with a plan with them, and they're hoping it could all be run internally, and I'm going, I just can't. I can't promise you that. Yeah.
Oh, I know. How many times you do that, Lauren, where you got to say, look, hope you don't mind conduit on the outside.
Yeah, it's the last thing that clients want. But don't worry, like we had 3 last week. The supervisor forgot to call us up, and we had to do external conduit, and we're like, there's literally no other way to do this. There's no prettier way to do it. But yeah, it is what it is. You want your brand spanking new house.
Yeah.
And we're not telling you this because we want to run it externally. It sort of breaks our heart as well. Like it's, at least I can.
It's actually easier running it internally. Like it's actually I know some people say there's no way. It's way easier doing it externally, but I mean it's a lot easier for for our team to run it internally. But personal preference.
Yep.
Yeah, very good. All right, well, we're going to go to our last break now, and we'll come back and we will wrap the show up. Okay.
Already?
Wow. We'll have another break. Hasn't been. No, we've been going a little while.
I know. I just clicked onto my phone. It's been 45 minutes. I feel like I'm just sitting at the pub talking.
Good stuff. All right. Well, we'll be right back in just a few moments.
Hey solar installers, struggling to keep up with CPD requirements? At Southwell Solar Training, we're here to make it simple. Our online courses are designed to give you the knowledge you need without the sales pitch. With an affordable subscription, you'll unlock access to our growing library of technical courses, covering everything from inspecting older systems to spotting installation defects. Learn at your own pace, earn CPD points, and stay ahead in the industry. Join us today and start learning smarter, not harder. Visit www.southwellsolartraining.com.au and get your CPD the easy and affordable way.
Okay, and we're back from our last break. Still with us there, Lauren?
Yes, I'm still with you.
Good stuff. Where are you? Where are you now? Where are you? You're in the car. Where are you?
Yeah, I'm in the Monash car park. So there's been an accident and my ETA back in the office is 48 minutes.
Oh, no.
I know, it's insane. So I'm just chilling. It's a good studio in here.
Yeah. Good stuff. Oh, well, at least it's making your commute back from the city palatable, I suppose.
Yes,
Good.
absolutely.
Good stuff. Well, we've still got Yorick here with us. It's been really good, Yorick. Like,
Thank you for having me on.
No, it's been great. We've I just love hearing different people's perspectives on the industry, and I share a lot of your views, but you sort of opened up a couple of other things to the way I think about things. So it's really cool. And you're doing this every day. You're
Yeah.
Literally just
5 days a week.
Yeah. Maybe you need to start your own podcast.
Yeah. I think I'll reach off Mark for a little bit longer and then see how my YouTube career turns out.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some of the videos you do. What's your favourite video you've done?
Look, it's not that it performed very well, but the Evernex video I think was one of my favourites. It was sort of the first one we filmed together that wasn't just in the studio, which and that was a bit of my idea. Let's get the car in there. So we had the Tesla parked in charging while we were filming, and we got to sort of demonstrate some of their ability to unplug and plug in the car remotely through the button, which I love. Actually, if I can put a little bit of a PSA to everybody out there, or at least the EV charger manufacturers, give me a button on the EV charger to unlock my Tesla, because it's the only cars that I know that can, only chargers that I know that can do this are the Tesla and Evernex, or you buy a cable from a company in the Netherlands called EV Charge King, where you get a cable to unplug and plug in the car. So I've got a Zappy charger at home for my charging, which is, look, apart from a couple of warranty failures, which is unfortunate, has been pretty good. But I ended up changing out the cable for one that had a little button on it because it was driving me nuts. Every time I went to the car, I had to get my phone app out to unplug my car when I was heading off in the morning. So anyway, please,
it's so annoying. I feel that.
Please, EV charger manufacturers, I would really like a button on the charge handle to unlock my Tesla.
Or on the car. First world problems, hey?
Yeah, I was about to say, for me, that's like such a first world problem. Like, I don't know.
Well, the thing is, once it's
okay, Pat, you're going to have it very soon anyway. It might be out by the time you have it, but it is a bit annoying.
Well, the thing is that it's a little bit annoying, but when you're dealing with either multiple times a day or every single day, it starts becoming very annoying. It's little things that do add up. Anyway, I just thought I wanted to have that segue while I had an open mic.
Yeah, no, that's all good. Well, you know what's annoying? Going to the servo to get petrol.
Yeah.
Fuck, I can't.
Oh, yeah.
For me,
Stop that.
Yeah.
It's funny because the only thing that I use petrol for now is my whippersnipper.
And
I've purposely not filled the tank up because I don't want the smell in my car.
Yeah.
So, I've been debating, do I literally swap it out for a electric, gardening tools?
Time to trade it in, I reckon.
Yes. You said your home was all electric. Come on.
Okay, I'll lie.
Shed tools as well have to be electric.
Everything except for my barbecue and my garden tools are electric. No.
That's fair. I'll let it slide.
That's great. That's great. Oh, all right.
Sorry, what was your question?
I can't even remember now. I can't. What did we ask, Lauren? Do you know? Did we ask Yorick a question? I can't remember. I don't know.
No, I completely engaged in the whole EV thing. I'm like, yes. No, what was your favourite video
Oh,
that
that's
you've done where you had the EV charger?
Yeah, and look, I have to admit, I think even though we've just published the Sigenergy video, I think I'm very proud of as well. Look, I know there was a bit of a break between us actually filming the start of it and filming the end of it. And, you know, I think it is a bit controversial, but I think we said what needed to be said and actually gave an honest review. And I'm proud of that because it wasn't just going, hey, here's all the hype. It really was an analysis breakdown of it.
Well, I think not just the industry, but the consumers as well who go to your YouTube channel to look at these sort of things, I think they would expect that from you, like to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying, because I know there was some negative things that were said.
Yeah.
But if you don't call that stuff out, you know what? You guys and Mark, you start losing credibility if you don't say it. And so you put the time in.
Absolutely.
You put the time in. I think it's absolutely fair what you've said. It all makes total sense.
Have they reached out at all?
Not to me personally, but I know Mark got a call or two.
Yeah.
I mean, look, put it this way. I think we read all the comments and we take it on board, the feedback that we get. And, you know, a lot of the feedback is very fair.
Yep.
And look, I mean, I got called out personally because, you know, I did sell a Sigenergy system when we were still sort of umming and ahhing as to whether or not we were going to take them on or not.
Yep.
And, you know, when I make any recommendation to my customers, I'm always trying to have their best interest in mind, and I'm not going to recommend something that I don't believe in. And so, you know, and this is, you know, I'm going to have a conversation with that customer because we want to make sure that he's happy and do the right thing by them. But, I think at the end of the day, I'm proud of what we said, and I think for us as a company, the final conclusion was right.
Yep.
And look, we're definitely working on more. I think we'll have, you know, we'll probably move away from being very focused on EV charging and batteries at least for a little bit because, you know, those are expensive videos to make, and maybe we'll try and do a bit more educational videos together.
Yep.
I think we'll try and maybe do something on some vehicle-to-grid, vehicle-to-house stuff once that becomes more widespread. That's really where I'm interested to see where that goes. But yeah, I think the next video I really liked, and I think the one on Sigenergy is probably my favourite.
Yeah, right. I haven't seen all of them, all your videos that you do.
Yeah. That's fair.
No, but some of them have been great. The ones, Mark's just got a great reputation for just producing great content with that, and you're the one behind it as well. It's great. It's
it's not just me. Look, we have editors.
I know you've got a team. I know.
Yeah, we've got a team, so I can't take all the credit. And but it is definitely good to be part of that and have those in-depth conversations.
Yeah, is that fun? You enjoy doing the videos?
I love doing it. It's funny. At first, I was really nervous, and now I'm basically waiting for Mark to call me back to do the next one. So we just can't edit them quick enough. That's the hold up at the stage.
Sounds like the podcast, Lauren? Just can't edit them quick enough. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. You've got podcasts coming out left, right, and centre.
Yeah, we do at the moment. Well, did you might have a bit of an announcement with a podcast coming up? Did you want to tell everyone, Lauren, what's going on?
Are we recording? Just wanted to make sure.
We are recording, yes.
We have been able to secure a couple of DNSPs for a podcast episode, which is exciting.
That's great. That's amazing.
Yeah. So next week we've got 2 Hour and Power Core. So that'll be good. And then the week or following fortnight after or week after, we have AusNet.
Well done. You've landed the big baby.
Yeah, that's been like my little golden child. So I've been trying to get them for a while. So I'm pretty excited. And even better, because we're actually going to be taking it to their head office.
Going on the road again. We're going on the road again.
Yeah, but like AusNet's office, I don't know if I should wear my Snick Star uniform or not. Like, they're going to be like, here's this little lady that's been going psycho.
So, so look, it sounds like they've been communicating a little bit more now, and that's been a real positive by the sound of things.
Yeah, and I do have to admit that it is definitely getting better with AusNet. I reached out on Solar Cutters the other week and just did a bit of a call out to anyone that is having issues to please give me their mobile. I had a few calls with a few people, and then I just got a bit of a rundown what's happening with them, and then I forwarded their details and what's happening. Big email to all three of them that they're involved in, whatever DNSP that they're involved in. I sent them an email. Haven't had anything from Gemini because no one's really operated in there yet. But it's also just trying to put these people in contact with the DNSPs, because a lot of people have given up, and I'm like, no, I've got contacts, I've got emails, just tell me what's happening. So I'm hoping it's going to get better for everyone else too.
Well done, Lauren. That's amazing. And you know what I think you deserve is...
Yes, in saying that though, by the time this episode comes out, I will reply to it. I actually got a text from Wilson today saying, how's AusNet backstop going? So I'm going to give him some good news after I wrap up this podcast as well. So I know everyone predicted 6 months, maybe less.
Well, you know, I think with all the work that's happening, it's certainly being noticed. A lot of the stuff you're doing, Lauren, and I know Matt's in the background. Oh, there's a lot of people. There's almost a team of you, I feel like, that are doing
pretty
this.
Much.
Yeah. Anyone else you want to shout out to who's been helping? Anyone? I know Bobby's done a bit of stuff.
Yeah, Bobby. I know Bobby's been involved in it as well. But I think I just want to do a bit of a shout out to anyone that is giving me information and people that are applying on the industry pages, because that's all the, not ammunition, but that's the evidence that I need to go back to them and say, okay, just because my cases are working, let's not forget about all the other people that are also really struggling with this. So just thank you to everyone that is getting involved. And I know I'm pestering you about what's going on, but I do really appreciate it. And it's definitely finally going to the right people that need to hear it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
So good fun. Well done to everyone involved.
So I better make sure we're going to probably keep our noses clean going into the AusNet office.
I've been told to leave the boxing gloves. No, I'm joking. I'm joking, but it'll be good. It'll be fun. Maybe we might do a little bit of a walkthrough with the AusNet team as well and just see what's going on there. So it'll be fun.
Do you reckon we'll get out alive? Do you reckon we'll get out alive? I don't know.
I reckon I'm going to have to bring some 6-star goodies or something and say, hey, sorry.
No, it's going to be great.
But I'm excited. Yeah, it's going to be really good. And it's good for industry as well because, I mean, they didn't seem too hesitant, but there was a few hoops that I had to go through to try and get them on board. And just that they're even coming to the party is huge. It's not going to be like a formal webinar like it always has been. It's just going to be a chat.
Yep, it's going to be...
It's cool.
It's going to be great. Well, I was actually yesterday in one of the sessions I was speaking at with the Solar and Storage Live. I had a couple of other DNSPs come up to me. One from Energy Queensland, and another one from SA Power Networks. And they were telling me that they listen to our podcast and they're very interested in what's happening with Victoria because, you know, we've got, backstop is going to be everywhere. Especially, you know, New South Wales is probably the main one where they're probably, they don't have anything at the moment. Other states have got something in place, a lot of them. But yeah, they were very interested in what's happening. And yeah, they did. They said they listened to the podcast. I couldn't believe it. So
that's really cool.
Reaching different places, Lauren.
Really cool. I'm definitely a little bit worried that I will be pulled into something to do with the New South Wales and when it's eventually rolled out. I'm just kind of like, sure. But not worried, but I'm like, I wonder if something's going to happen there because they can seriously, hopefully, they will learn from our mistakes.
I don't know. What do you reckon, Yorick? Do you reckon they're going to learn from Victoria's mistake, or they're going to look at South Australia and go, let's do it like that? Or what do you reckon? You can make a prediction on that? Or are they just going to totally stuff it up like that in Victoria?
I have faith in our bureaucracy. I think Energex will probably, Energy Queensland will probably do it the right way. But yeah, I would just say New South Wales, AusNet. I don't know.
Horrible.
It's not really my area. I can't give a good feedback on that one. Sorry.
No, fair enough. No, that's all good. All right, cool.
Honestly, it wasn't my area either, but it is now.
It is now, yeah.
Let's just hope for the best and maybe expect for the worst, plan for the worst.
I think that's a good way to look at it. All right, cool. We're gonna wrap things up in a sec. Yorick, you got any last thoughts or anything about? I really appreciate you coming on too.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been great. It's been great to pick your brain and have a chat.
Happy to do it again if you ever want me to come on again.
Yeah, for sure. Any last thoughts you want? And like where the industry's going?
Look, I think keeping keep an open mind towards batteries.
Yeah.
Keep an open mind towards electric cars. That's where things are going to be moving to. It's not something you have to rush into straight away, but I think once the time is right, it's not a matter of if it'll be a financially sound investment, it's going to be when. And I think it's a little bit like how solar is a no-brainer today. I think eventually it'll be the same for batteries. It's just about making sure that it's done properly, safely, and I think that's really the most critical thing is, while the solar industry is known for cowboys, batteries are the one thing that I would not cheap out on, because if they go wrong, the risks are much higher. So that's really where I think really things will be moving to. Is it's eventually, I think, maybe 1 in 3 installs now with a battery. Hypothetically, I think it'll be.
Oh, that's awesome.
Eventually it'll become a very large portion of what's.
I think you're right.
Installed. Yeah.
I agree with that too.
Yeah, but it's going to be benefit everybody. I mean, I think this is, on the topic of increasing power prices and feeling like sometimes it's a bit out of control and unattainable. And look, I understand obviously not everyone can afford these investments, but the more people get on board with self-sufficiency and storage, especially at night, it's going to drive down that peak price over dinner time, drive down that solar duck, which will make power cheaper for everybody. And so I think what I'm hoping for at some stage will be some more government incentive, more carrot, to encourage people to look into storage, because it's going to be a benefit for everybody.
Beautiful. Very well said.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, cool. Well, Lauren, we're going to say goodbye. And, I know. Got another one. We're going to do another one up here, so I'm going to be calling you back soon. But
I'll speak to you very soon. Hopefully I'm at work by then.
Good stuff. All right. Well, that comes to the end of our episode. Thanks again, Yorick. Really appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Pat.
No problem at all. All right.
Thank you.
See you soon, Lauren.
Bye, fellas.
Okay.
Bye, Lauren.
All right.
Bye.